Matt Davis also going to Warrington. Michael Channing retiring. Ben Evans. Cam Pierce-Paul obviously coming up to Coventry. Tom Spencer and Jared Sammett. I don't know where. Has Jared Sammett surfaced? Oh, he has, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's at Wigan. He's got Wigan. A new nickname, the Sensei. That's what they call him at Wigan, apparently, in the sheds.
They'll be calling him a few other things when he drops a ball or two. Yeah.
Or he
kick off out on the full. That was his special. Luckily, it looks like Zach's going to be dealing with the kick-offs. Anyway, who've they brought in, Tim?
Yeah, they brought in Matty Fozard, Nathan Mason, Greg Richards, all pretty much there, or they're much for muchness. Paula Abdul is bringing the Miami Sound Machine down to London. Ryan Morgan of Saints on loan, Luke Yates and Morgan Smith. So no one who particularly stands out in that thing they brought in. Obviously, they are back in their youth policy as a fair amount, but I think it's going to be a tough one for them, isn't it? Obviously, when you look at it.
Yeah, I think yeah. I think the fans kind of said it all really. Well, there's a couple of hopeful people there, but I think 11th would be a massive achievement. I think they've been realistic with the team. I think it's a shame in terms of who they've managed to. I think Samet obviously was a massive emotional leader for the team, and I don't think they've really replaced that. Morgan's reasonable quality player, but I think it says that they're bringing him on low and expecting possibly it to be a 1-year thing. I think realistically, I think the listeners obviously have gone for 12th on average, and without wanting to steal anyone else's thunder, there's only really Tim who's argued for 11th. So come on, Tim, convince me. Why are they going to finish 11th?
I think a combination of the youth policy they brought in. I think they could come get up. I think they could surprise a few people with some of the ones they'll pick up, because I think they'll make Ealing an interesting place to come.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a small ground that they're going to be used to, and they're going to know how to move around. So I think they'll have.
They have the artificial pitch factor as well that Widnes had, but Widnes still went down.
There is the IY pitch factor as well, and it does bounce very, very firm and true. And if you're used to that bounce and running onto it, then I think you'll do very well. I think it's something that some teams have struggled with. Certainly you saw it last year in the Championship. Some teams sort of failed to adjust to it. It's whether injuries will be kind to them as much as anything will really determine it. And part of my thinking as well was around who we're going to talk about next in Salford. I think they are such a one-man dependent team that if that one-man Jackson Hastings picks up an injury, I think that's Salford sunk.
Salford are one-man dependent, but at least they've got a half-back to depend on. Have London really got a Super League half-back? I mean, I've got them in 12th as well. And I'm getting a bit of feedback here, but...
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, Jordan Abdul, they're kind of pinning their hopes on it. A 22-year-old loose forward who hasn't really cut it yet in Super League to be their main organising half-back player. A little bit of a stretch. I think they're the youngest. No, in fact, they are the youngest squad, aren't they? Going into the Super League season. And whilst we're really excited about a lot of those young players and what they're going to do we really expect like James Meadows maybe to stand up and be a star player in the Super League when he hasn't quite yet had the opportunity to get to there in the Championship either. So I just worry for that. If I'm going to go with a rising star, and I want you guys to pull out some rising stars actually, because that's where we can focus positively on London. If I'm going to go a rising star, I'm going to go Dan Hindmarsh. I really liked what I saw from him.
Oh, you stole mine.
Oh, sorry. I really liked what I saw from him in the qualifiers last year.
Yeah, I think that, and obviously someone I've seen up close when he was at Oxford, and I think he is real quality. He's got that game awareness, and I think he's only going to get better as he's exposed to higher grade opposition. I think he's one of those players that is going to sort of steal up the higher up he is exposed to. So I think he's going to carry on his development. He's gone up a league every year now, and so I think he's going to carry on with that.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking at the squad, and I think there's only Elliot Keir who's actually hit 30. So they're a young team. So in terms of rising stars,
Jay Pitts and Marchioni are older as well, aren't they? But yeah,
they're distinctly in the minority. Obviously, they are. I think they're much better prepared than they were in 2014. I think they've got some very good players, or some players that could potentially make it at Super League. I'm thinking Alex Walker's of this world. Obviously had a very good season last year. So I'm not. I think unfortunately, I think it is a kind of a Salford and London are kind of the bottom two for me. They were the first two teams that I put in my predictions, and I worked on everybody else. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think it'll be. I'd hope they'd get more than 3 or 4 wins. I know one of the predictors mentioned that. I'd hope they might be getting up towards half a dozen wins, but particularly at home, if they can be, as you said, strong at home, I think it's not a total loss for them this year, even if it is just a short stay back in the Super League.
Sarah, we haven't heard from you on London. Where do you think they'll finish? And are you enjoying? Are you looking forward to a trip back down to watch the game at the Broncos?
I mean, it's a long way to go, isn't it? And historically, we don't have the greatest record there. But yeah, it's nice to go somewhere different. I've not been to Ealing, I don't think. But I've got them to finish 12th. I think, like Alan was saying, or Tim was saying, to get, it would be good to see them picking up some wins. And I think in one way they're sort of being hampered by the fact that we've moved back to the 1-up, 1-down system.
Yeah.
Whereas if they'd been, if we'd still had like the middle eight, they could have come up, they could have had the bulk of the season to sort of find their feet and then go into the qualifiers and hopefully retain their position in Super League.
Good point.
I mean, I think obviously James Cunningham has been very important for them. And I think Jordan Abdul, has got a lot to offer. I don't think at Hull we ever really played him right. I think he probably did better at Rovers when he was there because of the way that they played him. So, hopefully he'll get a good run out there and do well. And he relocated very, very quickly. So hopefully he's, well settled and not just well settled in where the local kebab shops are.
Excellent. Sarah, you've smashed it in a way that I don't think any of us can come back from on London. So let's now move to the other favourites for the bottom 2 spot, the relegation battle, and that's the Salford Red Devils. Alan, me and you are going to run through the fan views for the Salford Red Devils and what they expect from their side. So do you want to start with the first one?
Yep, so Paul Foster says, as long as we keep key players healthy, it will surprise a fair few, although I expect to finish no higher than 8th. The squad lacks depth.
Josh Taylor expects them to be competitive.
Gary Westhead says, mid-table obscurity.
Adam Aubrey says expects a top 8 and semis of the Challenge Cup.
John Hodgkiss says finish 11th but beat some top sides along the way.
Yeah, I like that one better. Lee Hall expects a semi-final Challenge Cup run and either 8th or 9th.
Andy Marr says they'll take us to Wembley. Every Salford fan's dream. Forget Old Trafford. Wembley first, please.
John Lee Gregg expects Salford to be the surprise package. I think that's a fair shout.
Yeah, Paul Whiteside says, be competitive and do our long-suffering supporters proud. It will be fantastic to get to Wembley 50 years after our last visit. Ian Watson is a fine young coach who has my complete backing and trust. I never expect much from Salford, but we'll be there every week, God willing, right behind them. Love that club, no matter where we end up.
Yeah, Paul definitely wears his heart on his sleeve when it comes to the Salford Red Devils. But anyone who follows the podcast and stuff that he is involved with will know that. Mark Fisher expects a top 6 finish and to win the Challenge Cup.
Ian Brogan says top 8 in Super League and a good cup run, possibly quarterfinals.
Dean expects Salford to stay up, shock a few teams providing that they are lucky with injuries.
Mark Swanborough says exceed all expectations and push for top 5 on the back of a great direction from Hastings and Louis.
and Ben expects Wembley and the top 8. So obviously a lot of those guys expecting more than the general listener base, which is expecting 11th place. But it's not surprising for fans to expect a bit more. They did finish 9th in the table last year and romped through the qualifiers as well. Well, 9th by virtue of romping through the qualifiers, I suppose. They've lost a few players, Alan. Lama Tassi, Ryan Lannon, Jack Littlejohn's left, they've not lost him. Craig Kopchak, Levi Nzungu, Luke Burgess has retired, Chris Breining has, I think, ended up back at York, but he's gone.
He has,
a year of injury now.
Back at York.
Gavin Benyon is now, I think, the captain at Swinton. Players that have come in, Ken Seo is a player coming back to Super League who offers some talent after a brief spell back in the NRL. Jansen Turgot's come over from Hull. Adam Lawton, has returned from obscurity. The giant 6 foot 10. I don't know, that's an exaggeration, but he's really tall, isn't he? And Gil Dudson is.
Let's hope he's as bad as Dane Tills.
Yeah, and Gil Dudson is. Yarp. And Gil Dudson has come over from relegated Widnes as well. Alan, I'm going to let you give where you think they're going to finish and maybe kind of any bright spots for them first, and then I'll give my views on Salford.
Okay, so if Salford haven't invested in an oxygen tent to keep Jackson Hastings fit, they really, really need to. He is almost the be-all and end-all of their season. He completely changed everything around for them last year, kind of pushing him up to that top of the qualifiers finish. He's the obvious star man.
If any of us have anything else written down in that box next to star man, then I'm not sure what's going on.
Then we should probably start hosting a rugby league podcast. He is the be all and end all, really. Ken Seo, reasonable kind of finisher, kind of a decent signing, probably a better signing than some teams have made in the off season. But I think realistically, I've got them down for 11th. I can't. The gains don't convince me enough to say that they're gonna build to any of these hopes from some of the supporters about top 8 or something like that. I can't see them displacing some of the other teams that are kind of mid-table-ish.
They would have to be the surprise package to do that. I think Hastings is box office, but he isn't going to be able to do it on his own. And actually, he didn't play the full game against Wigan. He went off, if I'm right, in the first half after half an hour. Not like there wasn't
precautionary, apparently.
Yeah, no major problem, but certainly a concern. Seo's a good signing, and they still have high quality in Evolds and Sow in the outside backs. But overall, this squad isn't up to it, is it? They've got no depth either. They've only named 25 players in the squad, and they've got a couple of trialists who both played in the game against Wigan at the weekend. Calvin Wellington, who I thought was set for a decent career when he was a youngster at St Helens, but he didn't take any opportunities to impress, I didn't feel, on Sunday. And the other guy with a double-barreled surname, I didn't even realise he was on the pitch until the substitutions were talked about. So I don't think that they've got any depth. One of their new signings can't play for the opening quarter of the year, Adam Walker, who we didn't list off before, but he'll be coming in like the end of March or something. Any run of injuries and they'll struggle. There's an overall net deficit on the ins and outs. It's just bad news for Salford, other than Hastings, who's absolutely cracking. Any serious injury to Hastings or Louis, and Louis, to me, looked unfit on Sunday. He played about an hour, maybe just over. Hobbled off. They say there wasn't much in it, but he looked hurt to me. So I don't think he's very fit yet. So he's starting the season out of shape, in my opinion. So any injuries to them too, it could see them finishing last. I really hope it doesn't happen. You don't want someone's league position to be determined by injuries when it's relegation that it leads to. But you can't help but have concerns, can you, about what Salford are offering to Super League medium to long term when you look at the squad and setup. And that brings me to my rising star for Salford. I have not picked one, because they have no one under the age of 22 in their squad currently, as it stands. And the players who are 22 are just kind of players who've been around a bit, who aren't ready to explode. And Ed Chamberlain suffered an injury that looks like he's going to be out for months. He was in agony with, I think, a knee injury that looked bad on Sunday as well. So, I say all of this as a big fan of Ian Watson's coaching and someone